Tromsø. Northern Sami, Romsa. Kven, Tromsø, is a city and municipality in Troms County, Norway. The administrative centre of the municipality is the city of Tromsø. Tromsø is the largest urban area in northern Norway, and the second largest north of the Arctic Circle and Sápmi. Most of Tromsø, including the city centre, is located on the island of Tromsøya in the county of Troms, 350 kilometres north of the Arctic Circle. Substantial parts of the urban area are also situated on the mainland to the east, and on parts of Kvaløya, a large island to the west. Tromsøya is connected to the mainland by the Tromsø Bridge and the Tromsøysund Tunnel, and to the island of Kvaløya by the Sandnessund Bridge. The city is warmer than most other places located on the same latitude, due to the warming effect of the Gulf Stream. The city centre of Tromsø contains the highest number of old wooden houses in northern Norway, the oldest house dating from 1789. The Arctic Cathedral, a modern church from 1965, is probably the most famous landmark in Tromsø. The city is a cultural centre for its region, with several festivals taking place in the summer. Some of Norway's best-known musicians, Torbjørn Brundtland and Svein Berg of the electronica duo Ra Paragraph Eiksepp and Len Marlin grew up and started their careers in Tromsø. Noted electronic musician Gur Jensen also hails from Tromsø. The most famous football team in the area, Tromsøya, currently plays in the Norwegian First Division. History: the area has been inhabited since the end of the Ice Age. Archaeological excavations in Tårnsvika, just outside the city limits, have turned up artifacts and remains of buildings estimated to be 9 to 10,000 years old. Middle Ages, a fortress on the frontier. The area's rich Norse and Sami heritage is well documented. The Norse chieftain Ur, who lived during the 890s, is assumed to have inhabited the southernmost reaches of today's Tromsø municipality. He described himself as living furthest to the north of all Norwegians, with areas north of this being populated by Sami. An Icelandic source from the 1100s also describes the fjord Melangen in the south of today's Tromsø municipality as a border between Norse and Sami coastal settlements during that part of the Middle Ages. There has also been extensive Sami settlement on the coast south of this border, as well as scattered Norse settlements north of Melangen. For example, both Sami and Norse Iron Age remains have been found on southern Kvaløya. The first church on the island of Tromsøya was erected in 1252. Ecclesia Sancti Mariae de Troms juxta Paganos, was built during the reign of King Håkon Håkonarsson. At the time, it was the northernmost church in the world. Around the same time, a turf rampart was built to protect the area against raids from Kvaløya and Russia. Tromsø was not just a Norwegian outpost in an area mainly populated by the Sami, but also a frontier city towards Russia. The Novgorod state had the right to tax the Sami along the coast to Lyngstova and inland to the Skibotn River or possibly the Marjenalselv River, whereas Norway was allowed to tax areas east to, and including, the Kola Peninsula. During the next 500 years, Norway's border with Russia and the limits of Norwegian settlement would be pushed eastwards to Tsar of Varangia, making Tromsø lose its character as a frontier town. 1700s and 1800s, the Paris of the North. During the 17th century, while Norway was solidifying its claim to the northern coast of Scandinavia, and during this period a redoubt, Skånesen, was built. Despite only being home to around 80 people, Tromsø was issued its city charter in 1794 by King Christian VII. This coincided with, and was a direct consequence of, the abolition of the city of Bergen's centuries-old monopoly on the trade in cod. Tromsø quickly rose in importance. The Diocese of Hålogaland was created in 1804, with the first bishop being Matthias Bonsack Croft. The city was established as a municipality January 1, 1838. Arctic hunting, from Novaya Zemlya to Canada, started up around 1820. By 1850, Tromsø was the major centre of Arctic hunting, overtaking the former centre of Hammerfest, and the city was trading from Archangelsk to Bordeaux. The town also grew increasingly important in other maritime economic activities, with the first shipyard being established in 1848. In 1848, the teacher training college was also moved from Trondheim to Tromsø, with part of its mission being to educate Sami scholars. There was a quota ensuring that Sami gained access. The teacher college was followed by the Tromsø Museum in 1872, and the Mack Brewery in 1877. During the 1800s, Tromsø became known as the Paris of the North. How this nickname came into being is uncertain, but the reason is generally assumed to be that people in Tromsø appeared far more sophisticated than visitors from the south typically expected. Early 1900s, exploration and war. By the end of the 19th century, Tromsø had become a major Arctic trade center from which many Arctic expeditions originated. Explorers like Roald Amundsen, Umberto Nobal and Fridtjof Nansen made use of the know-how in Tromsø on the conditions in the Arctic, and often recruited their crews in the city. The Northern Lights Observatory was founded in 1927. When Germany invaded Norway in 1940, Tromsø served briefly as the seat of the Norwegian government. General Carl Gustav Fleischer arrived in Tromsø on April 10, 1940 after flying in terrible conditions. From Tromsø he issued orders for total civilian and military mobilization and declared Northern Norway a theater of war. Fleischer's strategic plan was to first wipe out the German forces at Narvik and then transfer his division to Nordland to meet a German advance from Trøndelag. The Germans eventually captured all of Norway, after Allied support had been withdrawn, although they encountered fierce resistance from the Finnmark-based Alta Battalion at Narvik. Tromsø escaped the war unscathed, although the German battleship Tirpitz was sunk by the RAF off the Tromsø Island on November 12, 1944, killing close to 1,000 German soldiers. At the end of the war, the city received thousands of refugees from Finnmark County and the North Troms area, which had been devastated by German forces using scorched earth tactics in expectation of the Red Army offensive. Late 1900s are today, rapid expansion after World War II has been rapid. The rural municipalities of Tromsøysund and Ullard, and most of Kvaløya, were merged with Tromsø on January 1, 1964, creating today's Tromsø municipality and almost tripling Tromsø's population, from 12,430 to 32,664. In addition, the population growth has been strong, with at times more than 1,000 new Tromsøværinger annually. The population of Tromsø municipality today is 68,239, and the urban area, Norway's ninth most populous, is home to 58,486 people. This excludes most of the city's students, however, who often do not change their address when moving to Tromsø. A major development was the opening of Tromsø Airport in 1964, situated on the main island, and in 1972 the University of Tromsø was opened, at the time one of 4 universities in Norway and the only one serving the northern half of the country. A local teachers' college and museum were eventually incorporated into the university. The Norwegian Polar Institute was moved to Tromsø from Oslo in 1998. More recently, the university has expanded further through 2 mergers, first with University College Tromsø in 2009 and then with University College Finnmark in 2013. Municipal history: the city of Tromsø was established as an independent municipality on January 1, 1838. The city was completely surrounded by the Tromsøyland district, but they were governed separately. As the city grew in size, areas were added to the city from the rural district. On January 1, 1861, an area of Tromsøysund was transferred to the city of Tromsø. On January 1, 1873, an unpopulated area of Tromsøysund was transferred to the city. On July 1, 1915, another area of Tromsøysund was merged into the city of Tromsø. On January 1, 1955, the Bjørkøya area on Tromsøya was transferred from Tromsøysund to the city of Tromsø. On January 1, 1964, a major municipal merger took place. The city of Tromsø, the municipality of Tromsøysund, most of the municipality of Ullard except for the Svensby area, and most of the municipality of Kvaløya except for the parts on Senja were all merged to form a new, larger municipality of Tromsø. Toponymy: the city of Tromsø has been named after the island of Tromsøya, which it is situated on. While the last element of the city's name comes from Danish, meaning island, the etymology of the first element is uncertain. Several theories exist. One theory holds Troms to derive from the old name of the island. Several islands and rivers in Norway have the name Tromsø, and the names of these are probably derived from the word storm, which means strong current. Another theory holds that Tromsøya was originally called ʻtrʊmsø, because of its proximity to the much bigger island today called Kvaløya, that according to this theory was earlier called Tromsøya due to a characteristic mountain known as Tromma. The mountain's name in Sápmi, Rumbuanohkka, is identical in meaning, and it is said to have been a sacred mountain for the Sami in pre-Christian times. The Sami name of the island, Romsa, is assumed to be a loan from Norse, but according to the phonetical rules of the Sami language the frontal T has disappeared from the name. However, an alternative form, Tromsø, is in informal use. There is a theory that holds the Norwegian name of Tromsø derives from the Sami name, though this theory lacks an explanation for the meaning of Romsa. A common misunderstanding is that Tromsø's Sami name is Romsa with a double S. This, however, is the accusative and genitive form of the noun used when, for example, writing Tromsø municipality. In Finnish, however, the word is written with a double S. Tromsø. Coat of arms. The coat of arms of Tromsø was devised in 1870 and is blazoned I blayen ttn garyen en zar lv rain. It is often surmounted by a mural crown with 5 or 4 turrets. The municipal authority currently uses a stylized rendering drawn by Halvard Trateberg and adopted by royal resolution on September 24, 1941. Geography. Tromsø is the 8th largest municipality in Norway with a population of 71,590, and the center of the 9th largest urban area, with a population of about 60,000. The city is home to the world's northernmost university and also houses the northernmost botanical garden and planetarium. The city center is located on the east side of the Tromsøya island over 300 kilometers north of the Arctic Circle at 69°40 €2 33 €3 and 18°55 €2 10 €3. Suburban areas include Kroken, Tromsdalen, the rest of the Tromsøya island, and the eastern part of the large Kvaløya, west of the Tromsøya island. The Tromsø Bridge and Tromsøysund Tunnel both cross the Tromsøysund Strait connecting the mainland with Tromsøya by road. On the western side of the city, the Sandnessund Bridge connects Tromsøya island with Kvaløya island. There are many tall mountains within the municipality including Hampraken, Gikavarari, Storblayenman, Storfornestinden, and Tromsdalstinden. The Lingen Alps mountain range lies along the Tromsø-Lingen municipal border. There are many islands within the municipality of Tromsø including Hilesøya, Kvaløya, Rebbenesøya, Ringvassøya, Samaria, and Tromsøya. There are also several fjords that are located in Tromsø including the Balsorden, Koldorden, Melangen, and Ulsorden. Climate. Tromsø experiences a subarctic climate because winter temperatures are just cold enough to qualify and the summer season is short. However, the weather and precipitation amount and pattern, with maximum precipitation in autumn and early winter, as well as lack of permafrost, are atypical for subarctic areas. Tromsø has a reputation in Norway for getting a lot of snow in the winter, although there is a lot of variation from year to year. The all-time record for snow depth was set on April 29, 1997, when the meteorological station on top of Tromsøya recorded 240 centimeters of snow on the ground. The lowest temperature ever recorded is in 18.4 degrees Celsius, in February 1966. However, at the airport, also in the city, the lowest ever recording is at 20.1 degrees Celsius in February 1985. The January average daily maximum is at 2.2 degrees Celsius. Summers are rather cool, with average high and low temperature in July of 15.3 degrees Celsius and 8.7 degrees Celsius. The highest temperature ever recorded is 30.2 degrees Celsius, in July 1972. Outside the city, Large areas in the municipality are above the tree line and have an alpine tundra climate. Despite being a full 10 degrees further north than the Norwegian capital, Oslo, winter temperatures are very similar. On the west coast of Kvaløya, climate data show a mean annual temperature of 3.9 degrees Celsius, mostly because winters here are 2°C per 3.6 Fahrenheit warmer compared to the city, making this part of the municipality a subpolar oceanic climate zone. Light and darkness. The midnight sun occurs from about May 18th to July 26th, but the mountains in the north block the view of the midnight sun for a few days, meaning that one can see the sun from about May 21st to July 21st. Owing to Tromsø's high latitude, twilight is long, meaning there is no real darkness between late April and mid-August. The sun remains below the horizon during the polar night from about November 26 to January 15, but owing to the mountains the sun is not visible from November 21 to January 21. The return of the sun is an occasion for celebration. However, because of the twilight, there is some daylight for a couple of hours even around midwinter, often with bluish light. The nights shorten quickly, and by February 21 the sun is above the horizon from 7:45 am to 4:10 pm, and April 1 from 5:50 am to 7:50 pm. The combination of snow cover and sunshine often creates intense light conditions from late February until the snow melts in the lowland, and sunglasses are essential when skiing. Because of these diametrically different light conditions in winter, Norwegians often divide it into two seasons, Mørketid and Senvinter. Tromsø is in the middle of the Aurora Borealis zone, and is one of the best places in the world to observe the aurora. Because of the Earth's rotation, Tromsø moves into the aurora zone around 6 p.m., and moves out again around midnight. As it is light round the clock in the summer, no aurora is visible between late April and mid-August. Villages. Tromsø municipality includes these villages: Cityscape. The compact city centre is the biggest concentration of historic wooden houses north of Trondheim, that coexist with modern architecture. The houses date from 1789 to 1904, when building wooden houses was banned in the city centre, like in several other Norwegian cities. The oldest house in Tromsø is Skånsen, built in 1789 on the remains of a 13th-century turf rampart. The Polar Museum, Polarmuseet, situated in a wharf house from 1837, presents Tromsø's past as a centre for Arctic hunting and starting point for Arctic expeditions. The Tromsø Cathedral, Norway's only wooden cathedral, built in 1861, is located in the middle of the city, and so is the small Catholic church Varjena Fru. Northern Europe's oldest cinema still in use, Verdenstheatret, was built in 1915-16. The cinema has large wall paintings, made by the local artist Svermak in 1921, that picture scenes from Norwegian folklore and fairy tales. The Arctic Cathedral, a modern church built in 1965, is situated on the mainland, facing the sound and city centre. The church, in reality a parish church and not a cathedral, was drawn by Jan Inge Hovig and is probably the most famous landmark in Tromsø. The Aquarium and Experience Centre Pilaria from 1998 is a short walk south from the city centre. The Tromsø Museum is a university museum, presenting culture and nature of North Norway. The museum also displays the Arctic Alpine Botanic Garden, the world's northernmost botanical garden. A cable car goes up to Mount Stenen, 421 meters above sea level, with a panoramic view over Tromsø. The mountain Tromsdalstinden, 1,238 meters, on the mainland, which is easily spotted from the city centre, is also a major landmark. On top of Tromsø is Lake Pressvannet. Churches. The Church of Norway has 8 parishes within the municipality of Tromsø. It is part of the Tromsø Archdeaconry in the Diocese of Nord-Trøndelag. Governance. Tromsø introduced so-called parliamentary rule in 2011. The highest political body is the Municipal Council, which elects an executive body, byrådet, consisting of 6 byråder. At least in theory, these are equivalent to the cabinet members of a parliamentary government. The current mayor of Tromsø is Jens Johan Hjort, representing the Norwegian Conservative Party. Demographics and ethnic composition. More than 100 nationalities are represented in the population. Among the more prominent minorities are the Sami, Russians, and Finns, both the local Kvens and recent immigrants from Finland proper. The world's northernmost mosque is to be found in Tromsø. The Our Lady Catholic Church is the seat of the world's northernmost Catholic bishop, who leads the territorial plaza of Tromsø. Although the local Catholic population is only 350 heads strong, Pope John Paul II visited this small church and stayed as a guest of the bishop in 1989. Sami population. As noted in the history section, the Tromsø area is from old times a home to Sami culture. The assimilation of the coastal Sami, however, led to the local Sami culture becoming increasingly invisible in the Tromsø area during the 1900s. The 1970s, however, saw a revitalization of Sami culture and identity, which also made itself felt in Tromsø. Today there is a Sami kindergarten and Sami language classes in certain schools of Tromsø. There have been attempts at countering the decline of the Sami language, for example through the establishment of a Sami language center in Ullard. Tromsø city has generally displayed a positive attitude to the indigenous minority culture, for example through municipally arranged celebrations of the Sami People's Day, bilingual signs at the university, and when the city made its bid for the Winter Olympics the Sami name of Tromsø, Romsa, was included in the would-be logo of the event, which also incorporated an old Sami symbol as its main element. 2011 language controversy. In 2011, however, the role of Sami culture in Tromsø became controversial. The municipal board had applied for Tromsø to join the Sami language administrative area. This would entail giving equal space to selected Sami toponyms on signposts, allowing Sami speakers to communicate in their language with local authorities, and make means available from the Sami parliament for officials to learn Sami. The rightist parties FRP, Venstre and Høyre, protested the decision and made it a part of their election campaign to reverse the decision, claiming that Tromsø was a Norwegian city, and hence it was natural neither to display Sami toponyms along with Norwegian ones, nor make Sami an official language along with Norwegian. The rightist parties won the election and reversed the application. It has been claimed that the issue has divided Tromsø's inhabitants between those who see Sami culture as naturally belonging there and those who see it as alien to the area. During and after the election campaign, pro-Sami politicians have received threats and people wearing traditional Sami garb claim to have been subjected to verbal abuse. In June 2013 the municipality nonetheless entered into a cooperation agreement with the Sami parliament which is intended to strengthen Sami language education and Sami culture in Tromsø. Culture. Being the largest city in northern Norway, Tromsø is a cultural centre for its region. It gained some international attention when it on June 11, 2005 hosted one of 46,664 concerts, designed to put work concerning HIV/AIDS on the international agenda. The concert was promoted by Nelson Mandela, whose prison number provided the arrangement's name, and featured international and local artists. Many cultural activities take place in Kulturhuset, including concerts by Tromsø Symphony Orchestra and plays by Tromsø's professional theatre troupe, Hyen Logaland Teater. The new theatre building was opened in November 2005. The city contains several museums. The largest are the Northern Norwegian Art Gallery and the Tromsø Gallery of Contemporary Art. The Tromsø techno scene is the origin of many of Norway's most important artists in electronic music, and Tromsø was a leading city at the early stages of the house and techno scene in Norway from the last part of the 1980s. The internationally recognized duo Ra Paragraph Ixip and the ambient electronic musician Gur Jensen, known as Biosphere, are the most famous exports. The record label Beat Service Records and the Insomnia Festival makes Tromsø still leading in the country as of the development and promotion of the genre. The local newspapers are Bladet Tromsø and Nordlys. Festivals and celebrations. Both the Tromsø International Film Festival and Nordlys Festivalen, a classical music festival, are arranged in January. The end of that month is marked by the Day of the Sun, when the sun finally appears above the horizon after the polar night, which is celebrated, mainly by children. The International Day of the Sami people is celebrated at the University of Tromsø and the City Hall on February 6 every year. Tromsø's Latin American festival, No Siesta Fiesta, is held at the end of February. It started in 2007 and showcases the best of Latin America in Northern Norway with film, dance, music, art, seminars, debates, markets, and a street samba parade. Every autumn the Insomnia Festival for electronic music is hosted. It is one of the largest and most important festivals for electronic music and techno culture in Norway. The Back to Tromsø Open Air Festival, held in June and July, is a popular music festival. The Back to Festival is mainly a rock festival, but also features other kinds of modern music. The festival takes place in Telegrafbygta, a park on the southwestern part of the Tromsøya island. Other popular cultural summer events among the population of Tromsø is the Kvaløya Festival and the Riddu Riddu Festival, both held in the region surrounding the city. Sports. Tromsø is the home of many football clubs, of which the three most prominent are Tromsø IL, which plays in the Norwegian Premier League and is the world's northernmost Premier League football team, IF Kvaløya in the Norwegian First Division, and Tromsdalen UIL, playing in the Ærligaligaen. Tromsø Midnight Sun Marathon is arranged every year in June and recently also a Polar Night Half Marathon in January. The city is home to many clubs in the top division in various sports. Most notably basketball outfit Tromsø Storm in the BLNO, BK Tromsø in the top volleyball league for men, and Tromsø Volley in the top volleyball league for women. The oldest sports club in Tromsø is Tromsø Turnforening, a gymnastics club founded in 1862. That also was the cradle of the before-mentioned football club Tromsø IL. Tromsø was selected by the Norwegian National Olympic Committee as Norway's candidate for the 2018 Winter Olympics. This would have made Tromsø the first city north of the Arctic Circle to host the Games. There were plans to use ships as the media village. In October 2008 the NOC suspended Tromsø's bid, citing excessive costs. From the southern to the northern tip of the island Tromsøya, there is a floodlit cross-country ski track. A ski jump is also situated on the island, close to the university. As of the spring in 2010, the city's first ice rink has been open and is home to Tromsø Hockey, which plays in the Swedish Ice Hockey Association's League 3. Notable residents. In popular culture, in the vampire thriller 30 Days of Night, Rumors of the Undead by Steve Niles and Jeff Marriott, an FBI agent learns that Tromsø was depopulated in the winter of 1842, perhaps due to a mass vampire attack. Norwegian director Erik Skjalpkjell's debut movie Insomnia takes place in Tromsø. The town of Tromsøysund, found in northern Norway in his Dark Materials series of books by Philip Pullman is supposedly based on the city of Tromsø. The Nobel Prize-winning author Knut Hamsun published his first novel in a small bookshop in Tromsø in 1877. One of the 6 main characters in James Michael's The Drifters, Britt-Bjørn Dahl is from Tromsø. Michael Pallan's 1992 travelogue series Pole to Pole features a visit to the city in its first episode. British musician Robin Hitchcock named his 2001 album Tromsø, Captain after the city. A portion of an episode of Smallville was set in Tromsø. This episode showed Aquaman apparently living in the city. The fictional character T.Y. Horson from the game SSX is from Tromsø. In The Avengers, it was said that Jane Foster was sent to safety there. Chess World Cup 2013 was held in Tromsø from August 11 to September 5, as well as the 41st Chess Olympiad from 1 to 14 August 2014. Home to the Bioprosp International Conference on Marine Bioprospecting, the 6th of which will be in 2015. International relations. Twin towns are Euro-sister cities, references. External links, Tromsø Travel Guide from Wikivoyage, Tromsø Municipal Council, weather forecast and map for Tromsø. Visit Tromsø Tourist Information Office, climate statistics Tromsø Municipality, pictures of Tromsø Volley, gallery of 360-degree panorama pictures from Tromsø.